Good morning. I'm Ed Haertel. My pronouns are he, him, and whatever your background, ethnicity, family makeup, sexual orientation, gender identity, etc., you are most welcome here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Palo Alto. May you find nourishment and inspiration for your journey. We gather on unceded, stolen land of the Tamien and Ramaytush people. We acknowledge these communities in the interest of truth and justice, awareness and gratitude. In order to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism, we pledge to join the Tamien and Ramaytush people whenever they ask for solidarity. I have a few pre-service announcements to share. Masks are not required but are encouraged. We express our mutual respect by supporting each other's decisions about masking, distancing, and other health measures. If you're here in person and you have questions about Unitarian Universalism or this congregation, please stop by the welcome table with the blue tablecloth and chat with the greeter. You can leave your contact information if you wish, and if you want to join the congregation, you can do that there today. Please note the announcements in your order of service. In particular, the UUCPA Choir Holiday Concert is now less than 2 weeks away. You can talk to any choir member to learn more or to purchase tickets. Please note the celebration of life for Richard Castle to be held at 2 p.m. on Sunday, December 7th, here in the main hall. And also please join family and friends in mourning the loss and celebrating the life of Jerry Strong. Jerry's memorial service will be held on Saturday, January 10th, 2026 at 10:30 a.m. here in the main hall and on Zoom. A lunch reception hosted by Jerry's family will follow at the University Club in Palo Alto. More details, including how to RSVP to the lunch reception, will be posted on the UUCPA website. I'm delighted to be assisting our worship leader this morning, the Reverend Dr. Samantha Lynne Wilson. Reverend Sam is a Unitarian Universalist minister, community psychologist, and restorative practitioner. She works as a UUA conflict engagement coach and restorative practitioner in private practice, partnering directly with congregations and communities. And finally, Reverend Kat and our board president, Mayo Suzuki, have an announcement about a gratitude art project. Mayo, Kat?
Hi, Kat. You know, this time of year always makes me think of things that I'm grateful for, like the gathering of friends and family, the celebration of tables full of delicious food, the sound of wonderful choirs rehearsing holiday songs, like UUCPA's for our concert on December 6th at 4 p.m.
I see what you did there, Maya. This time of year also just reminds me of how grateful I'm for the changing of the seasons as we go into winter. And so I'm especially grateful for the choir concert, and that's on December 6th at 4 p.m. And for all our families, we'll also have time to sing carols there. So really exciting.
Great point, Kat. I know the choir would be especially grateful to see a hall full of friends and families. That's why, I bet there are a lot of things that people in this room are grateful to have UUCPA in their lives. And that's why the board thought it would be fun to have everyone share some of those ideas in our gratitude art project. After today's service and next Sunday, please make a stop in the lobby where our board members Judy and Robert will help you figure out how to participate. We hope to create some beautiful windows in our main hall full of leaves to add to those that are already there.
And so the CYRE teachers and I will be leading just a short gratitude exercise, and kids can draw or write, express their gratitude in any way possible. Thinking about and talking about what makes us grateful for and at UUCPA will be fun for us all. Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll see you in the lobby after the service.
Thank you. I now invite you to center yourself in your chair. Take a couple deep breaths. Let your forehead relax, shoulders drop, tummy soften. Let any mental chatter subside. Breathe again, and as mindfulness practice advises, be totally present to this moment. We gather, our different paths entwined, to deepen our spiritual lives, nourishing connection, learning from each other, caring for each other, tending to our world. As we follow the sound of the bell into silence, we allow ourselves to arrive here fully. Welcome.
If you have a chalice wherever you are, whenever you're watching this, we invite you to light it along with us here. Today's chalice lighting words are by Paul Sprecher. We light this chalice for the web of life which sustains us, for the sacred circle of life in which we have our being, for the earth, the sky, above and below, and for our Mother Earth, and for the mystery. We'll hear the sound of the bell and let the fullness of its ring carry us even more deeply into our time together. Please rise in body or in spirit, and will join me and all of us in singing Earth Was Given as a Garden. It's number 207 in the gray hymnal, or you can delight in the technology of the screens and be guided by the words that are on the TVs in front of you. Let's sing together.
me on this colorful quilt. And while our friends are coming up, I have a question for everyone. Who has a garden? Or who has access to a garden? Yeah, who likes to garden? Who has a green thumb? Who has a black thumb? So today we're going to hear about some folks who found and created a garden in an unexpected place. This story is called Harlem Grown, and it's a true story. Once, in a big city called New York, in a bustling neighborhood called Harlem, there was an empty lot. Nivea called it the Haunted Garden. It was cluttered with wrecked couches, old TVs, broken bottles, and empty cans. Once, in a big city, in a bustling neighborhood, there was Nivea's school. PS 175, it was called, and it sat across from that haunted garden. Ooh. One day, though, a man came to PS 175, and his name was Mr. Tony. That's what the kids called him. And when Mr. Tony saw that haunted garden, he had an idea. He began to clear the haunted garden, one piece of trash at a time. Look at all that trash. Everybody's helping. And because of all their help, soon it was a clean slate, a blank canvas. So Mr. Tony, he took that blank canvas and he laid down clean soil. He invited Nivea to help. They got shovels, they got seed, water, mulch, topsoil. And then, guess what she did? Nivea started to plant. And then she dug holes in the garden, and into the holes she placed those seedlings. And then she carefully covered them with dirt. Yeah, that's how you plant things, huh? So then the kids, they watered those plants and they weeded them, and their plants began to grow. And once Nivea came to the lot after school, and her plant was wilted and sad. And Mr. Tony, he said, you know what, we can try again. We can plant something different. And so with wood and hammers and nails, they built raised beds for the garden. And the kids, they tried again. They tried with peas and broccoli and mint and even eggplant. And they watered and they weeded. And at last, food! Wow, they had cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, blueberries, strawberries, collard greens, kale, basil, arugula. I'm getting hungry. And Mr. Tony, he watched and helped and smiled, and more kids from the neighborhood came. And they tended their plants, which grew, and up came more fruits and more vegetables. And the kids, they took care of their green beans and their carrots and their cucumbers and all those delicious things home for their families for dinner time. Yeah. So once, in a big city called New York, in a bustling neighborhood called Harlem, there was a man with an idea, and there were kids who wanted to help, and they made a farm. So thank you for listening to my story today. And I think everyone being able to plant and have access to the earth, that's what makes us human, right? We're outside animals. Okay. So all my friends who are going to religious education class, I invite you to follow me out into the main hall, and we will go to class. Thank you for listening to my story.
Thank you. Our reading today comes from Rosemary Watola Tromer. It's called The Way It Is. Over and over we break. Open. We break and we break and we open. And for a while we try to fix the vessel as if to be broken is bad. And if with glue and tape and a steady hand, we might bring things back to perfect again, as if they were ever perfect. As if to be broken is not also perfect. As if to be open is not the path towards joy. The vase that's been shattered and cracked will never hold water. Eventually it will leak. And at some point, perhaps, we decide we're done picking our flowers anyway. And no longer do we need a place to contain them. We just watch them grow, just as wildflowers do, unfenced, unmanaged, blossoming only when they're ready. And my God, how beautiful they are amidst the mounting pile of shards.
You may have heard of the National Assessment of Educational Progress, also called the Nation's Report Card. It's an important source of information about trends in school achievement, addressing questions like whether 8th graders this year are doing as well in math as 8th graders were in 2019. The National Assessment is overseen by the National Assessment Governing Board. I served on that board from 1997 to 2003. Back then, I fought fiercely to preserve one small component of the National Assessment referred to as the long-term trend, or LTT. The LTT dates all the way back to the very beginning of the National Assessment in the early 1970s. Thus, it offers a very long trend line for tracking how U.S. school achievement has changed over a very long time. As a testing expert, I saw this as really important. These trend lines were invaluable, irreplaceable. Preserving them seemed to me at the very heart of the National Assessment's mission. Yes, they were somewhat redundant with other assessments. Yes, they were expensive to administer and score. Yes, they tested content that was not well matched with current learning objectives, but still, the scores meant the same thing now as they always had because the tests themselves had not changed, or so I thought. By 2016, long after I'd left the governing board, the LTT was really showing its age. I was asked to write a paper summarizing the history of the LTT and analyzing some options for preserving it in some form. Researching that paper, I was shocked to discover how little I had known about these tests back when I was fighting so hard to preserve them. The original design of the test was poor by contemporary standards, in a way just a jumble of items. Almost from the very start, there had already been changes to the test items, as well as procedures for test administration, scoring, and reporting. The groups of test takers in different years had not been strictly comparable because rules for testing exemptions and accommodations had changed over time, not to mention the fact that fourth graders today are on average older than fourth graders of 10 or 20 years ago. Most importantly, many things children were taught 40 or 50 years ago don't matter the way they once did. High school students today no longer need to learn how to use tables of logarithms or the Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature. Writing that history paper, I saw that what I had been fighting to preserve had never really existed in the first place. The LTT had never been the constant, trustworthy measure I had imagined it to be. Its seeming stability had been an illusion. I was chagrined. How could I have been so certain and so mistaken both at the same time? My first realization was that in my zeal to preserve the LTT, I'd ignored everything except the test items themselves, forgetting that the meaning of the scores depended not just on the items, but also the children responding and the curriculum they were taught. Context matters. But there was a second realization. I was not alone in my error. My mistaken views on the LTT were widely shared. My values and beliefs, my ideas, my professional identity were not solely my own, but were shaped by the scholars I interacted with, the papers I read, and the expectations that came with my role as a testing expert on the governing board. For me, too, context matters. We may try to hold on to the past, but everything changes. Reality has a whole lot of moving parts, and they're interconnected. Schooling has changed, testing has changed, and I have changed. Thank you. Blessed be. Now please rise in body or spirit and join in singing What Wondrous Love, number 18 in the gray hymnal. The words are on screen and in the online order of service.
What wondrous love is this?
Thank you. I am a lifelong UU. And when I grew up, my mom was joyfully joining the Universalist Unitarian. Thank you. A church of Riverside, California. And I was a little girl, and my mom would drag me to the local coffee shop, and the women's group would gather and do dream work. So my life, my early childhood was spent at the feet of women doing dream work. Drinking coffee at 8 p.m. How they did it, I don't know. Good dreams, I imagine. So I want to tell you a dream story. I want to cast a dream for you. And I want to invite you to play with it the way those women who I used to hear above my head would play with it, which is to say that every character, every entity in the dream is part of you. So let these characters, they'll be familiar and unfamiliar. Let these characters be your dream images, and maybe each of them will speak to something that matters to you right now. So once upon a time, there was a garden named Eden. And inside this garden lived a woman named Eve, and she loved that garden. She knew its pathways, its waterways, the best stones for building altars. She knew the water and the way the lavender and lemon balm smelled, crushed between fingertips. And one of her best friends was Snake. She and Snake would spend hours together. Snake knew how to see something from a different perspective. They would spend hours talking, Snake wrapped up beside her, warm in Eden's sunshine and good with questions. The kind of wisdom that comes when you live your life with your belly to the ground. Now, Snake knew something was funky up in here. This garden was a walled space, the kind of wall, perhaps a boundary, but now a border. And Snake could feel it. And Eve would notice the glimmer at the top of the wall. Was that barbed wire? Broken glass? And one day, as they moved along the perimeter of the tall walls, they inquired with the angels at the security guest checkpoint. What is beyond? May we see, may we know. Oh, said the guardian angel, never you mind that. You have everything you need right here. Everything is perfect. God has created a perfect place. God has given you all that you need. What is beyond the gate does not concern you. So go back. Enjoy what God made for you. Now, God, by some definitions, is a steward. By others, a landlord, and yet further still, a warden. And perhaps all three are true at once. But now Eve and Snake are very curious. There is something undeniable within them that resists their infantilization. They wonder what they can do. Who should we ask for help? Who is the wisest of the garden, they wonder, both realizing the answer at the same time. The trees, of course. They move along the pathway, the stream, the lavender, the lemon balm, the rock altar, and they find their comrade, Adam, along the way, and they ask him to join in. Now, Adam has a slightly different relationship to God and feels a little more uncertain. Still, he sees something true in his friend's movement, the glimmer in their eyes, the testimony in their voices, and there is trust. So Adam, not fully understanding nor fully comfortable, goes with them. The tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil were magnificent elder trees. They are the only ones in the garden with the deepest knotted roots, and in their branches are those holes from birds nesting and gathering, and God doted on these trees, tending them meticulously over time. As the branches had begun to fall, Eve and Adam would see God scaffolding them back up, disappearing any evidence of their aging. These were the tree of life, not the tree of death. After all, she must look presentable. So the group approached the two trees. Which one should they choose? Let us eat from the knowledge of good and evil. And Adam looks uncomfortable. Are you sure we should do this? No, Eve replies. But are you sure we shouldn't? No, Adam responds. May it be so, says the snake. And just as snake offers the blessing, the trees lean in. They stretch their scaffolding like grandparents at a rite of passage, knowing that communal struggle is necessary. And they bite. But leaning and leaning over, having been begged to be eaten, the trees begin to collapse. The crackling and the crumbling of the branches send a shock through the garden root systems, talking to root systems of liberation. And as more and more trees that were scaffolded get tumbled over, the trio makes their way to the security gate. Having been rocked open by the quaking trees, the gate is now relieved to be wide. And the three of them make a run for it, leaving bits of fruit along the way. A crumbling trail of possibility for all who dare might follow. Now the sound of the breaking and the popping alerts God, who had been wondering about their day, propping up the trees of the garden. And needless to say, when God fully realizes what has happened, God is quick to anger. Have you, empathy for God, ever tried so hard to protect something by requiring that it do what you asked of it? And then how do you feel when inevitably it does not? So God, running, panting, fumbling, spitting, hissing, crying, God follows the trail of fruit, stopping at the edge of the gate with the angels, seeing the three figures disappearing on the horizon. Screw them, God cries. I will curse them. They shall be wounded, displaced, exiled, all genders, all abilities, all beings, all lovers, all ages, unworthy. They are ungrateful. Don't they know it was perfect? They shall be separate and alone, and they will hear these words. They will read these words, and they will spend their lives believing it. God throws themselves on the ground, watching the shadows on the horizon. But God's face finally is in the dirt. Anger turns to grief. What should I do? God pleads with themselves. So God is finally there like snake. Belly to the ground, heart, ear to the ground, and the ground answers back. You know what to do. And from the ground, God sees one tiny piece of fruit. And with childlike precision and trembling hands, God reaches for it. We pause our dream here. This moment matters. It can be easy for us to see ourselves as only the Adams and Eves and snakes of the world. How often we introduce ourselves, even in a faith community like this, with the story of our exile, our spiritual exile, the places we left behind to come here, the story of my innocence from those terrible people, my righteousness, the story of how someone else or something else was wrong or bad, and I had to leave to seek something better. And that is an important strategy, at some capacity, our ability to exit. That has absolutely served us. It has absolutely helped survive. I am a divorced woman. I love a good exit. But it also is a strategy and other hands and other ways of being that has fueled some of the greatest harms. Exile and exit stage left substantiates settler colonialism because I can leave my place and take yours. It allows mass incarceration because I can send you away. It fills our veins with microplastics and toxins and our neighborhoods and waterways with poisons because I can use something and then when I don't want it anymore, I can just make it disappear to me. It allows me to self-righteously give you this sermon by typing it on a computer, fueled and mined by some other person's child's hands. It will fuel the tank that flies Elon Musk anywhere the hell else he wants to go. And if exit stage left is the strategy we spend the most time cultivating, it risks becoming our only skill. And we can satisfy ourselves or drive ourselves endlessly with the conclusion that there is a different place or a different person or a different religion or a different political party or maybe a solution or a new technology or maybe a better government that will make us newly innocent again. Newly beginning, newly progressing. We can either make the current one, like the old one we really liked, just rebuild the garden as it was, the way God liked it, or we can go somewhere else and we can start anew. So it really matters what our people do here. And when I first wrote this story, I was in my early 20s. I was displaced from that lifelong beneath the legs of the dream work women, Unitarian Universalism, and I was utterly disenchanted with the garden. I grew up as a teenager surrounded by UU community. I talked about becoming a minister early on, but by young adulthood, I had a developmentally appropriate disenchantment. Yes, developmentally supported, but also structurally substantiated, right? Like a story with an inevitable ending, UUism was a garden of a childhood that did not feel relevant in the world of my millennial young adulthood. So my young adult narrator was delightfully self-righteous. She was very content with a jailbreak and a regretful God. And in the young adult version of the story, God takes that bite of fruit, picks their butt up, dusts their naked self off, and follows those shadows into the world to rebuild the new good thing, following it exactly the way Eve tells him to. Why? Because God needed a change of perspective, some humility, and some goddamn self-responsibility. And surely, Eve and Snake would always make something better than that. It was my young adult response to the conundrum of God in Eden. What do you do when your parents' thing doesn't work out? That's fine. Leave it. Build something better. But now, here, past the tipping point precipice of a broken world with nowhere else to go, I am not satisfied. I feel a little bit like Eve and Adam and Snake, and we only just made it out of one of those fancy escape rooms in San Francisco. And we are standing in the lobby somewhere taking a selfie with free bumper stickers that say, "We escaped," before we get back into our cars and feel the existential dread of all that we cannot escape in this world. All the creation that got created by destroying it, and all the money we just paid to the San Francisco escape room that will pad the retirement of a tech bro. So there's nowhere else to go. I want to know, what are we going to do with Eden? There's nowhere else to go. What are we going to do with Eden? And I think about this in the context of UU institutions, and as a conflict consultant, I mostly meet organizations when they feel the most vulnerable, the most uncertain. And I know that our UU organizations need reimagining. They can't go back to the garden they were, nor are they certain of which way to go. But I also know this in our other public institutions. The ones we see crumbling with heartbreak are public education, our health care, environmental protections, legal protections, all while global capital makes a break for it, charging ahead without care. Now, my husband and I are the children of public educators. We put our child into kindergarten at Oakland Unified School District this year, a school district that operates at a $4 million deficit per month. Per month. So I am grieving. I keep my child in public school because I believe in integration. And I believe that our values call us to nurture and sustain the common good. But I'm not going to fool myself or others with the belief that there is a version of our public education system that is ever fully satisfied, ever deeply satisfied the sacred longing we have for every child. I know that. My mom, the devoted, dream work public educator, also retired knowing that. So we live in gardens built and planted and imagined by other people at other times, based on what they thought would nourish and sustain and meet life as they knew it then, in the face of what they knew then, by the people who were in power then. And they were born of power structures and beliefs we know do not serve the fullness of interdependence. And the only hope that I feel is that even in these crumbling gardens of domination, there are always a couple of trees. And trees know better. Trees know shit must change. There's a decolonial educator. Her name is Vanessa de Mikado Oliveira, and she has an educational community of indigenous educators and artists called the Gesturing Towards Decolonial Futures Collective. And they ask us not to prop up the old, because we cannot, nor we should not, save it. But nor can we imagine some kind of free, open space where we just create something new as if we won't be shaped by the thing we just came from. They say our task is metabolism. The metabolic practice is the capacity to simultaneously assist something in its dying, that is, hospicing, and to assist something in its birthing, that is, midwifing, simultaneously. All while you resist your urge to suffocate the future with your projections of what you think it should be, born of the grief of your past experience. Essentially, it's composting. Now, in this decolonial collective's work, Vanessa invites us to look at the ivory tower of the university to apply the metaphor to just one of our beloved crumbling institutions. Now, our traditional notion of the ivory tower is one detached from reality, where the best and brightest describe and prescribe what is and what should be. But that model, much like our public education system, is also rooted in the power systems of our forebears. They include the colonial, racist, patriarchal legacies that are misaligned with the challenges we face today. So she says, a more appropriate metaphor than the ivory tower is the leaning tower of Pisa, in which it is precariously tilting amidst a swamp of unprecedented challenges. Now, the challenges of that tower are familiar to us. They are the challenges of financial uncertainty, affordability, the complexities of our diversity and our decolonization, our intergenerational dissonance, our ecological destabilization, our ambivalence about existential questions of emergent technologies, our mental health, our polarization, and our lack of capacity to coordinate across difference. All of these makes the swamp of the unprecedented challenges all of our institutions are facing. So frankly, it's like the curse of God's separateness made real. But most of our institutions face some version of this. These are the symbols of a crumbling modernity. This is what modernity looks like when it's crumbling. So Vanessa suggests that the question is not if these institutional towers will fall, it's a question of how. So a hard fall, she suggests, by some kind of rigid adherence to what was. I want it to be what it was. Or some forced reckoning by someone coming in and smashing it down. Read the current administration. All of those methods, rigid holding or utter smashing, would shatter what remains, leaving little chance for regeneration. But if the fall is softened by our willingness to adapt and collaborate, compost our obsolete ideas, and to be guided by a willingness to meet new practices, then maybe there's a potential to transform it into something new. In the soft fall, this tree becomes a nurse log, settling into the earth, connecting to the ground of reality, embraced by moss and mycelium. This crumbling institution becomes fertile ground for redistributing resources, nurturing creativity, fostering regeneration. Here, the fall is not an ending. It's a beginning that invites us to stop clinging and choose nurturing. What if? I wonder what would happen if our religious institutions taught us how to be with nurse logs. This might feel easy to some and hard to others, but like Adam, maybe we don't have to understand everything or feel certain, but we might just know how to say yes. And the spiritual capacity here is willingness without control, a yes without guaranteeing the outcome. The spiritual practice is humility. So where did we leave off? We left off with God on the ground, with fruit on their tongue. And perhaps from this place on the ground, Eden is not perfect. It's not necessary to refurbish, but it's also not condemnable. It's not worthy of our judgment or our snobbery. It's a place to compost, a log to bring down to the earth. And maybe God takes a bite of the fruit. And maybe God kindly requests those angels to fly and tell Adam and Eve and snake that they are open to doing the repair work necessary whenever they are ready for it. And maybe God dusts themselves off and God leaves the gates open and God lets the concrete stay crumbled. And maybe God sits with elder trees, with broken branches and heartwood and crumbling leaves, and maybe God learns something. To let something die, to let something be out of their control, to be with what's uncertain and messy, and God lets trees teach them, and God lets something be born that wasn't theirs and was beyond their imagining and isn't what they would have chosen or wanted or ordered, but God and garden metabolize themselves. And maybe God releases themselves of their own curse of separation. And maybe God moves beyond good and bad. Perhaps God is compost. May it be so. All right, let's be in a moment of dreaming together. However it feels good to sit, whatever way you like to sit, when you're letting yourself sit the way you like to. Maybe that's a slouchy sit or an upright sit, but just to let the earth that is your body make a choice that honors your own. And to notice what it feels like to breathe the way you like to breathe. In this room of people who are dear to you, in the rooms that all of us are in. And I invite you to notice where gravity's got a hold on you. Maybe it's a chair or the ground, to notice the ground, this room that you have so many memories within, and the earth beneath that. The layers and layers of human and more than human life that make up each delightful texture. And beneath that still these tectonic plates, these dynamic beings we ride on, shaping and remaking the earth as we know it. And beneath that still this little skin on the apple of the earth, that hot, wondrous core, the warm heat. If you can imagine all the way down into its being, the depth of our belonging on this planet. And then if you can, with your feet or your body in the chair held to the earth, all the way up through the spine to the top of the head into this shared air that we risk breathing together. This wild knowing that we know more profoundly than ever that I am of you and you are of me. Beyond that still to this foggy, cloudy day where water molecules lifted off of oceans, currents carried across landscapes and lifetimes. Further still, this swirling, gorgeous blue and white ball, higher into cosmos, the way you feel when you first see the photo from a telescope. The length of our belonging from core to cosmos. And you might feel yourself take just a little more space, the dignity of your being. And then to the sides of you, if you notice the feeling of shoulders and fabric, this collection of beings beside you, the ones you know and the ones you know well and the ones you know that you don't know and the ones you don't even know that you don't know, a long chain of connectivity, the person but also the cell phone in your pocket, connecting you to life across the entire planet, not just by what you send, but by its very nature, its minerals, its embedded stories, the server farm off somewhere else in which the water moves to cool the computer. All so that we can maintain the photo of our beloved, the complexity of our being, this width of our connectivity. And then inside of us, all the different parts of us, the parts of us that make jailbreaks and the parts of us that make jails. All the way back, if you notice your back, to the ancestors that you came from, the ones that are more friendly and the ones we wish we could have a repair process with. This long lineage of being. And imagine each of us now in the length of our lineage, the ancestors that completely fill the room, to our eldest who looks at us, I imagine, with compassionate eyes. I believe this because when I imagine how I feel at the front of me, your chest, the feeling of your breath, when I imagine the youngest person I know, the future ones, when I imagine the youngest person that will be known by the youngest person that I know, and I imagine the conundrums they will face that I am part of making and remaking now, I look at them with compassionate eyes. And here we sit together, this length of our dignity, from core to cosmos, the width of our connectivity as harmers and healers, and the time span of ancestors who hold compassion for what is coming. And may this posture of dignity be with us in all of our days to come. May it be so. Thank you.
We create this space together, not out of wood and glass, nor even out of electricity and binary signals, but out of our presence. Wherever we are today, we have chosen to be together, hoping that together we can do so much more to make our lives into all that we dream of, and make our world into the one we hope to see. If you are moved by gratitude to each other, we may choose to support with whatever financial resources we can this community that we are creating and that is creating us. You can use check or cash, or the QR code or text info in the order of service. The offering will now be given and received. Thank you. Now, please rise and embody your spirit and join in singing Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, number 8 in the gray hymnal. The words are on screen and in the online order of service. And please join me in speaking our chalice extinguishing words today from Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Whether online or here in the main hall, please stay after the benediction for our conversation time. We all begin with greeting time, a chance to speak to someone you haven't met before or haven't seen in a while. Old-timers, please greet a newcomer and see if you can find out enough about what brought them here to introduce them to someone else they'll want to meet. Now, if you're online, please unmute yourself, turn on your video, and touch hands virtually like this while we say our benediction together. And if you're in the main hall or the patio, reach out and hold hands if you and the person next to you are comfortable with that, or to show that you are connected in spirit, cross your hands over your heart. Go out
into the world in peace. Be of good courage. Hold fast to what is good.
Return no one
evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering.
Rejoice in beauty.
Speak love with word and deed.
Honor all beings.
Honor all beings.